Today's tale takes us to the far end of the solar system and the birth of humanity. We'll be talking about the Anunnaki, how the Nephilim got created, and how these beings sparked the birth of human civilization as we know it today. The story of the first civilizations is full of big events and mysteries that really spark our curiosity. One big question is how humans managed to change and grow so fast while other animals stay the same. Over the past 2 million years, the human brain doubled in size, which helped us get more creative, smart, and capable of building complex societies. This rapid brain growth is pretty unusual compared to other species. Despite these advances, humans are still not perfectly suited to Earth's conditions. For example, we don't have the fur animals used to stay warm. We get sunburned far easier than any other species, and our bodies often get sore or hurt because of our upright posture. Long ago, different cultures used their religions to explain how the world was made and why humans are so good at creating things. They told stories about gods and divine beings who helped shape humanity and gave us the skills that we have today. Even though science has provided some answers, many mysteries about human evolution and our unique abilities still make us wonder. A possible answer to this mystery can be found in the writings of the Sumerians, considered to be the first organized civilization in history. The Sumerians lived in Mesopotamia around the year 4500 BC. They built big cities and invented the first writing system, which they wrote on clay tablets. In 1849, archaeologists in Iraq found 14 of these tablets with Sumerian writing. When the text was translated, it revealed one of the most amazing stories ever: the birth of humanity, a mysterious planet lurking in the far ends of the solar system, and the story of the gods, the Anunnaki. According to the Sumerian writings, there is a planet at the edge of the solar system called Nibiru, which come close to Earth's orbit approximately every 3,600 years. The inhabitants of Nibiru, called the Anunnaki, look similar to modern humans, except that they were much larger and had large elongated skulls. The Anunnaki were having problems because of the climate and atmosphere changes that were causing radiation levels to get out of control in their home planet. The conditions of Nibiru were changing quickly, making it harder for the Anunnaki to produce food and the necessary conditions to survive. They realized that they needed a solution, and they needed one quickly. After their most brilliant minds came together to look for a solution, they arrived at a singular, elegant, and shiny solution: gold. Lots of it.
A mountain of it.
This metal has purifying properties that can protect against cosmic radiation. However, gold was scarce on Nibiru, so they had to mine it from somewhere else. The Anunnaki used their advanced technology to send ships into space to search for this precious metal. After a long and exhausting search, the Anunnaki finally detected a remote planet with the resources that they desperately needed. And so they arrived on Earth in search of the last hope to save their planet. At that time, Earth was only inhabited by wild animals, some of them being various groups of apes. When the Anunnaki first arrived, they settled in the land between the Euphrates and the Tigris rivers, an area which would later be known as Mesopotamia, the Greek word for between two rivers. There, they built the magnificent city called Eridu. In this city, they created a splendid garden filled with fruit trees and animals. This garden, made by the Anunnaki, was called Eden. Soon after, the Anunnaki started mining gold in underground mines. To do the hard work, they brought slaves from another alien race called the Eiji. The Eiji were an alien race that the Anunnaki had conquered long ago. They looked similar to the Anunnaki, which in turn would make them similar to a modern human being, only much taller and much stronger. The Anunnaki, becoming increasingly desperate due to their planet's conditions, were fearful that the gold would not reach Nibiru on time to revert the damages to their atmosphere. So, they demanded more and more output from the Eiji. Their treatment of the Eiji was brutal, and they were determined to increase their output at any cost. After years of forced labor and suffering, the Eiji rebelled against the Anunnaki, leading to the first war on Earth. After the Eiji rebellion, the The Anunnaki knew that they could not return the Eiji to the mines. They would continue to rebel. But someone had to work the mines if they were to achieve their goal. So, an idea occurred to them. There were ape-like creatures living in the forest. These were our ancestors. Most of them were Homo erectus or Homo heidelbergaris. These ape-like creatures could walk on two legs and even use simple tools. So with a little bit of genetic fine-tuning, they could become intelligent enough to do the work the Anunnaki needed. And so it began, the engineering of modern humans, the perfect slaves to the Anunnaki, created in their image. Not too large, not too strong, and not too smart. Just the right amount of everything. With time, the Anunnaki grew fond of humans, and even allowed them to live in their city and visit the sacred garden. However, they gave strict orders not to reproduce too much, and relations between humans, Anunnaki, and Eiji were strictly forbidden. Despite the gods' wishes, a woman called the Eye of Enki, who was the patron of Eridu. Enki mated with a human woman, giving birth to the first part human, part Anunnaki. This hybrid was called Adapa. The birth of Adapa represented a problem, because up until now, the humans were not a threat. They were sufficiently smart to work, but not smart enough to complain. Adapa, being part Anunnaki, was extremely intelligent, and from his bloodline spread a new branch of humans who were not too happy with their present conditions. This new branch of humans started to reproduce rapidly, causing overpopulation in the city of Eridu. A lot of the descendants from the Anunnaki with humans became famous heroes like Gilgamesh, Hercules, Perseus, and other famous mythological characters. But the Anunnaki were not the only ones who mated with humans. Some Eiji also mated with humans, giving birth to a race of giants that later became what we know today as the Nephilim. These giants were extremely aggressive against humans, often killing and even eating them. Perhaps after thousands of years of Eiji enslavement from the Anunnaki, some of that hatred and resentment was inevitably inherited by the Nephilim, deeply encoded in their DNA, seeking revenge against the offspring of their father's enslavers. After a few millennia, Nibiru, the Anunnaki's home planet, came close to Earth again. Nibiru's strong gravitational pull disrupted life on Earth, causing temperatures to rise. The glaciers melted quickly, rising sea levels and leading to constant rain. A great flood swept across the Earth, and the city of Eridu was doomed to be submerged. To save their creation, the Anunnaki built large boats that floated for days until the water levels normalized. After their city was destroyed, the Anunnaki decided to return to Nibiru. But before they left, they gave humans knowledge of architecture, mathematics, music, and writing. The Anunnaki also taught humans how to set up a monarchy, where certain leaders kept their bloodline pure, inherited from the Anunnaki, and were given the right to rule over others. They also instructed the construction of temples called ziggurats, which were aligned with the stars and meant to guide the Anunnaki back to Earth someday. The Sumerian texts don't go into exact detail of how many Anunnaki there were, but they do mention a few key figures. The most powerful god in Sumerian mythology was An or Anu. Anu was the personification of the heavens and had infinite wisdom. He was the eldest and most respected of all gods, with temples in almost every Sumerian city. His wife, the goddess Ki, represented the earth. Together, Anu and Ki gave birth to the Anunnaki, which means children of heaven and earth. Enki, the patron of the city of Eridu, whose seed sprouted the first Anunnaki human offspring. The worship of the Anunnaki was shared by many Mesopotamian peoples, who added new stories and gods over time, but they always kept the core details intact. Interestingly, the ancient Sumerian city of Ur, that had been lost for thousands of years, was discovered in the early 20th century by a group of archaeologists. One of them, a British archaeologist called Leonard Woolley, discovered the tomb of Queen Puabi of the first dynasty of Ur. If we go by what the legend says, she was born close to the time when the Anunnaki were breeding with humans. Her skull was huge and elongated, very similar to the way the Anunnaki skulls were described. Could she really have been an Anunnaki human hybrid? I'll let you be the judge of that. Thank you so much for joining me for today's tale. If you saw the video until the end, I think it's safe to say that you like what you saw. So do me a favor, Like, subscribe, comment, and share the video with someone else. It's a small button for you and a gigantic leap for my channel. Until the next tale, farewell, and may the gods smile upon you.